Alright everybody, welcome back to another video on the channel. Today is Monday, and yeah, it's Monday, and I want to do some Breslov stuff. Mondays we do like Breslov history and things like that. So obviously, people know about Uman Rosh Hashanah. Breslovers go to Uman for Rosh Hashanah, which is in like 4 months. It's a pretty big deal for Breslov chassidim to go. And last year was a whole thing because of Corona, and hopefully this year we'll be able to all make it to Uman. So I was thinking, I saw on one of the Breslov news sites that I go on that what's it called? That they put out this little kuntres. There's this guy who gathered all the different sources and all the different stories and different things like that about Uman Rosh Hashanah. So I was thinking, why don't we just read through it? I think I read through it earlier last year, not the whole entire thing, just a few little pieces, but I want to read through the whole entire thing for myself and for everybody else also. So we're just gonna read it, and I'm gonna be looking at the screen, so my face will probably be looking like weird places. But I'm just gonna start reading it from the beginning. Piece number 1. I'm gonna leave a link to this kuntres so that people can follow along if you read Hebrew or whatever in the video description. So, piece number 1. Remember, this is just all different pieces, so it's going to be talking in like the third person and doing things like that, and we're just going to start reading. Okay, so piece number 1. B'yoser v'yoser hezer lios etzloi on Rosh Hashanah. Rebbe Nachman warned us many times to be with him for Rosh Hashanah, and he said that he wants all of his chassidim, all the Anshe Shleimenu, to be together as one with him. Not one person should be missing out. And this great warning that he said to us to be with him on Rosh Hashanah, we can't even measure it, and he used to say it over and over again. Va'amar, and he said that his whole inyan is Rosh Hashanah. And also on his last Rosh Hashanah in Uman, he also spoke with us about this, about the greatness of somebody who is Zayche, who merits to be with him on Rosh Hashanah. And he said in this lashon, Ma oymar lechem, what can I tell you? Ein davar gadol mizeh. There's nothing greater than this. This is in Chaim Moran, Simin Kuf, Chaf Vav, 126. Okay, piece number 2. He said, and he said that if by other tzaddikim, that it's not such a chiyuv, it's not such a requirement to be with them on Rosh Hashanah, right? By many chassiduses today, I mean, also back then probably, it was a thing to be with the Rebbe on Rosh Hashanah, but in Breslov it was like a real chiyuv to be there, right? So Rebbe Nachman is saying that even by other tzaddikim, that it's not such a chiyuv to be with them on Rosh Hashanah, right? So now they're going to ask on me more questions. What does that mean to say, right? That he doesn't want to answer and say a reason. Even without this thing that Rebbe Nachman said to be with him on Rosh Hashanah, he already had tons of other people asking questions on other things that he would do. And now with this, he's going to have another question, right? That, why is he so machbid that everyone has to be with him on Rosh Hashanah, right? Even more than other tzaddikim. And we see that today clearly. And a lot of people are always asking, how could you leave your families? How could you leave Eretz Yisrael? How could you do this? You don't have the Kaisel, you don't have Rashbi, you don't have this. But Rebbe Nachman said to be with him on Rosh Hashanah. So now people have to ask a different question on him. He says over here, even by other tzaddikim, everybody would go to them on Rosh Hashanah. Nobody else was as machbid as him, and they used to give warnings to people that you have to come to be with me on Rosh Hashanah. This is also in the same piece in Chaim Ran Kuf Chaf Vav. Okay, Gimel, piece number 3. Rabbi Nachman said that Rosh Hashanah Shali Oile Alakol. My Rosh Hashanah is above everything, and it's a great wonder to me that after people become close to me and believe in me, right? Why are they not careful to be with me on Rosh Hashanah? Because my whole entire inyan is only Rosh Hashanah, and he said to make an announcement. Shekol mi shesar al mashmata mikarvelav yil al Rosh Hashanah. It's like anybody who's close to him should be with him on Rosh Hashanah. Not one person should be missing. Misha Zeich Lios Rosh Hashanah, and somebody who is merits to be with Rebbe Nachman on Rosh Hashanah, it's roy for him to be happy the whole entire year. Roy l'smayach le'ma'od ma'od. Okay. Somebody said to him, Rebbe Nachman, somebody came to Rebbe Nachman and said to him that it's better for him, easier for this guy to be with him on Shabbos Tshuva, which is after Rosh Hashanah, and not on Rosh Hashanah. Because on Rosh Hashanah, this guy's tiny, and he's saying that I don't have a place to sit in the shul, I don't have a good room to stay in, and good food and a good bed, right? And because of this, my das is very confused. I'm not able to pray with the proper kavana. So it's better for me to be with you on a different time when it's a little bit quieter, and not on Rosh Hashanah. And Rebbe Nachman said back to him, and this is a very, very famous, people know this saying. He says, if you eat, if you don't eat, if you sleep, or if you do not sleep, if you pray or if you don't pray, which means Ritzaynei Loimar, in parentheses it says that you didn't daven with kavana. Obviously, you're going to try to pray. Ach v'rak, the only thing is to be with me on Rosh Hashanah, whatever it is, whatever cost it will come to your personal stuff. And obviously, we see today that Baruch Hashem, Uman is it's still not the best rooms and food and accommodations and whatever, but there's people there who are davening for 20 hours straight. There's no problems with davening or anything like that there. He said, in truth, all these things are only timyonis of the Yetzer Hara that he's trying to prevent you from coming, right? Because it says over here, Ki toidal l'el, thank to Hashem, nira b'chush al pi haroiv mispal and yoser b'chavana. You see people even davening with more kavana because of this great, everybody's together in Rosh Hashanah, right? More than so if he would be davening back at home. Rabbi Nachman said, "My Rosh Hashanah is a chiddush gadol. It's a brand new thing. V'Hashem yisbarach yedei she'ein hadavar hazeh b'Yerusha me'avoisai." And Hashem knows that this gift of Rosh Hashanah that I give to people is not an inheritance from my father. Rak Hashem Yisbarach Natan li zois b'matana. Hashem gave me this as a gift. Shani yodei mahu Rosh Hashanah, that I know what Rosh Hashanah is. And I don't even need to say that all of you depend on my Rosh Hashanah. Ela afilu kol olam kulai. Even the whole entire world depends on my Rosh Hashanah. That's in Chaim Ran Simin Taf Hey. That's pretty intense. That's what Rebbe Nachman said. Leinin Rosh Hashanah, tzrichin liyas daikoi etzlei on by Rosh Hashanah, that you have to be on Rosh Hashanah. He said, Amar sheicholin az hanashim lekabel tikunim mashe b'chol shana loya be'efshar shiyilhem tikkun b'shumayfin. Right? He said that the Indian appeal of being with me on Rosh Hashanah also is that people are able to get a tikkun from me and fix their souls. That the rest of the year you can't get this type of tikkun, but only on Rosh Hashanah, right? Afal pikein be Rosh Hashanah yichol and afilu heim lekabel tikkun. Even on Rosh Hashanah, these people are able to be mekabel, fixing a tikkun, right? Even the whole entire year he was not able to fix them, but on Rosh Hashanah he was able to fix them. Ki Amar, he said, "Shehu oisib Rosh Hashanah in yonim v'tikunim mashe b'chol Hashanah gam hu einu yochel asos." On Rosh Hashanah, Rabbi Nachman did tikunim and other things that during the year he was not able to do at all. Rabbi Nachman again said, "Etzli, by me, the ikar is Rosh Hashanah," and right away when Rosh Hashanah already finishes, I already lean my ear to hear if they're already hitting on the wall. They're already hitting in the base measures to wake everybody up for slichus for the next year. Ki ein shum zman klal, because there is no time. Ki kol Hashanah choylef ve'oiver keherifying. The whole entire year passes like a blink of an eye. Amar Rabbeinu says, I already took care and worried for all the hitzais of the journey of the chassidim. I mean that Rabbi Nachman already took care of everybody's expenses that they're going to have for Rosh Hashanah. I guess he prayed about it, he took care of it in Shemayim, whatever that means exactly. Haboy Malai, everybody who comes to me, and also the expenses that you will have also going back home. This is in Siach Sarfei Kodesh Chelik Beis Piece Chav Zayin. So all the expenses are already paid for. Rabbeinu said also in Siach Sarfei Kodesh Chelik Beis Chav Ches, Avuri Oid Af Echad Lo Hifsid. For me, nobody ever is going to lose out. Whatever you do for me, you're not going to lose out, in money or whatever. In one of the years that Rebbe Nachman was still living in Breslov, right? Rebbe Nachman lived in Breslov first and then moved to Uman in the last 6 months of his life. So one time Rosh Hashanah was on Yom Beis, which is, this year's Rosh Hashanah is coming out on Monday. Sunday night. Monday, Tuesday, right? Wednesday, I think? Or is it Monday night? I think it's Monday night, actually. Yeah, that doesn't happen so often. Alright, whatever. I'm going to look it up again. And the chassidim from the ear of Turin, right? A lot of them already came and spent Shabbos in Breslov, so that they could already say slichus for Erev Rosh Hashanah with Rabbi Nachman, right? But Rabbi Abba Shoichet Loy Nasi Moy Mesiba Shainis, Rabbi Abba, the ritual slaughterer, the Shoichet, didn't go with them. Lo Hispik La'agil LeShabbos LeBreslov, he wasn't able to get to Shabbos to Breslov. V'Shava Shabbos BeUman, he actually spent Shabbos in Uman. She rechoyka mi Breslov k'mea kilometer. Right, this is when Rabbi Nachman was not in Uman, so he traveled from Turin, ended up in Uman to get to Breslov for Shabbos, but he had to stay in Uman for Shabbos. B'moitzi Shabbos, Hischel read this Geshem Shoite ve'az, and then on Moitzi Shabbos there was crazy rain, like mamish, like a mabel, and he didn't know how he was going to be able to get to Breslov for a Rosh Hashanah. Right, but he went to a bunch of wagon drivers and he said, "Please take me," and none of them wanted to go, and he said, "Please, please, please." And one of the Balei Bat said, "If you give me 13 rubles, I'll go with you." And Rabbi Abba said, "Okay, I'll give you," even though this was a schum gadol, this was a great amount, and Rabbi Abba was a very, very poor person, right? He didn't even have clothes to switch his clothes for Shabbos. Okay. And right after Rabbi Abba agreed, the wagon driver regretted his decision to go, and he said no, right? Even though he already promised him the amount of money. But all the other wagon drivers were like, "Listen, you already told him, but you said you already told him, you can't back out now." Right? So he said, "Fine, I'll go." And they went the whole entire night. And in the morning they only got to the city of Teplik, which is still 35 kilometers from Uman. Right? Because it was very hard, because all the roads were muddy because of the rain. And the Baal Gala, he had to give to the horses food and to rest. And then they went, and in the Tzarayim they were able to get to the city of Hyson, which is from Breslov. It's another 30 kilometers. And the Baal Gala was like, "I can't go anymore." And Rabbi Abba was like, "No, we have to go." He said, and after he was like, "Come on, we got to go to the Rebbe." So the Baal Gala was saying to the horses, he was screaming to the horses, he said, "Kids, we got to go to Rebbe Nachman." Ischila Susim, and the horses started going very, very fast. Shaloi Keder Chateva, and they got to Breslov at the time that the Kilo was very davening Mincha on Erev Rosh Hashanah. Right? He didn't even have time to speak to Rebbe Nachman. And Rabbi Abba, for this 13 rubles that he owed this guy, he had to sell this silver cup that he wanted to give as a gift to Rebbe Nachman. Right? That's how he paid the guy. Acher kach, b'layla b'eish yashav Rabbeinu b'shulchan and manchash menu by the meal. We're sitting by the meal. Right? They came to the meal. Afal pi shenag Rabbeinu l'liv l'daber klal below Rosh Hashanah shum dibar. Right? Rabbi Nachman was noig not to speak at all on the first night of Rosh Hashanah at all. Right? He turned to Rabbi Abba and he says, "Abba, saper li es ha-nisiyah shelcha. Tell me about your journey." Right? And Rabbi Abba was very scared because he already sold he sold the cup and whatever, and he didn't want to say anything. But Rabbi Nachman turned to him again. He said, "No, don't be scared. Tell me everything." And Rabbi Abba said his whole entire journey. And he also said over that he had to sell this gevia, this special cup that he got for Rebbe Nachman. And Rebbe Nachman said, so when he finished, Rebbe Nachman says, to the Baal Davar Avur Hagavia Oitzilei Oiras Shinayim Veinayim. But because you sold this cup, basically I'm able to take out from the Baal Davar, I could take out his teeth and his eyes. I can weaken the Baal Davar, whatever that means. Ata Abba, but you Abba, Ba'olam Hazeh Kfar Lo Kidai. This world, you're not even worth it for this world anymore. You're too holy. V'ata Shmuel, and Shmuel was, I think, his son. Chach Lecha, a little bit from the soup. Very mysterious words there, Rebbe Nachman says. Ki b'nisiyasoi nasa imay b'noi Rabbi Shmuel, right? Because Rabbi Shmuel was with him. V'teichev l'achar Sukkos, and right after Sukkos, Rabbi Abba was nifter. U'b'noi Rabbi Shmuel his asher ma'oid. He got very, very rich, and from him, Rabbi Abba HaMeforsim got all his riches. This is a story in Siach Sefer Kodesh. So Rabbi Nachman basically, like Rabbi Abba did with his cup, like big things against the Baal Davar, and he also was like Zoichet to reach a certain point that he didn't need to be in this world anymore. Rabbi Nachman blessed him, and he blessed his son to take some soup, and with that he got rich. Let's do a few more pieces over here. How long is this video so far? I'll do a few more minutes, make it 20 minutes. This will be part 1. We'll do part 2. This is 1 year on Erev Rosh Hashanah. We were speaking with Rebbe Nachman about the Rav of Breslov, who was the famous Rav Aaron, who was one of the followers of Rebbe Nachman when Rebbe Nachman moved to Breslov, right? That he wasn't with him on Rosh Hashanah in Uman. This is the last Rosh Hashanah, then, obviously. Amar Lanu, and Rebbe Nachman said to us, "What can I tell you? There's nothing greater than this, to be with me on Rosh Hashanah." And even though other tzaddikim, they don't say this, right? This is the same thing we said before, all the different kashas. And he said that all my asik, Rabbi Nachman says, all my Indian is only Rosh Hashanah. He spoke about how great it was to be with him on Rosh Hashanah. Gam Kvar Omar al Rosh Hashanah kulam tzrichim niyas. Everybody needs to be here. And again, we keep on saying the thing, and Rabbi Nachman doesn't ever say why it's so great, but he said it's great. And if you experience Rosh Hashanah, then you'll see why. He doesn't even have to tell you why, but it's hard to understand just from when Rebbe Nachman says it's great to be with him on Rosh Hashanah. I mean, the tikkunim are great and everything, but there's a deeper reasoning. There's much deeper stuff going on. And all this was this was in the city of Uman on the last Rosh Hashanah that he was with us. And then he said that you have to make an announcement that everybody needs to be with him on Rosh Hashanah. Alright, let's do 2 more pieces over here. The Sicha that is bought in the Sefer Chaim Ran, Siman Reish Chaf, Sha'amar Rabbeinu, that Rabbeinu says, Le'inin hiskapsus atzlebri be on Rosh Hashanah, Gadol mizeh ein benimtza, greater than this you cannot find. This was said when Rabbi Lipa did not come for Rosh Hashanah. And the chassidim were explaining to Rebbe Nachman a certain reason why he didn't come, because he had to go with other businessmen to Odessa to get a sroigim for Sukkos, which is a mitzvah derabim. And Rabbeinu says, no, he didn't have to go, he could have done without him, meaning that he wanted him to be there on Rosh Hashanah. Shemati b'shmoi sha'amar. If somebody asks a tzaddik, im lasses davar sheyesh boi mesiras nefesh b'shvil Hashem yisbarach, that if he should do something that has mesiras nefesh for Hashem, right, the tzaddik should answer him not to do this. Even though, and the person who asked doesn't have to listen to him. Like he asks, I want to do something like this, and the tzaddik says, no, you don't have to. The guy doesn't have to listen to him. Another thing that we heard is that he said that anything that the tzaddik says, you have to do. But if a tzaddik tells you not to go to Uman Rosh Hashanah by Rebbe Nachman, Zein tzarich l'chaim. You do not need to listen to this. That is today's lesson on Uman Rosh Hashanah. So we're up to piece Yud Daled, and we will continue next week Be'ezrat Hashem with more stuff about Uman. And everybody should have a great week. L'chaim.